It hasn't started.
Now it started.
Okay. Hi, Shajini, because we're all here and we're going to talk about the books for our talk show assignment. So Mr. Tran is going to start us off first. What questions do you have for the group?
I was wondering, why is it that Aeneas leaves in the middle of the night when he could have left in the morning or whenever it is? Why does Aeneas choose to leave when he does?
I think that it's kind of like, he does say that he doesn't want Dido to know, so I think like the middle of the night is a quieter time than the middle of the day, and she'll be sleeping, so she's less likely to find out. And that's my take.
I thought it was because he didn't really want to talk about it because he knew like if he told Dido, then Dido would have made a scene or like a bigger scene than she had done.
She did make a big scene.
Yeah. She found out. Yeah, I feel in the middle of the night is definitely an easier way to have a getaway, and because he was so stuck on doing what the gods is telling him to do, whether it be in the morning, in the night, I feel like in the night it would make less of a commotion. He would just be able to slip away and not make anything happen.
I think he does love her, because I know we talked in class about how does he really love her or does he not? I think he does, and I guess this middle of the night leaving is kind of I don't want to hurt her, so I'll just leave and then she won't know, and then
yeah, but at the same time going off of the does he actually love her? Leaving in the middle of the night without giving her any warning, she'll wake up and he's gone, and that's well, okay then. You know what I mean? It's
I feel he owes an explanation.
Yeah.
That he would leaving in the middle of the night. He's not going to do
that's
that.
just a female perspective on it. But
This situation kind of reminds me of a one night stand.
yeah, that's what
So it kills the awkwardness, and you just ditch you yeah, real quick.
Awesome. We're going to move on to our second question. So I was thinking, how do you think that the Aeneid uses the actions of both Aeneas and Dido to portray feelings and emotion of women and men in general in society?
Well, I think that was a great transition because women, I don't know, this is not going to be sexist or anything, but I think there's especially at the beginning of the Aeneid when Dido is all powerful and she's oh yeah, I'm ruling this city and the city is mine and I'm creating the city, and then a man comes in, Aeneas comes in, and she's now no longer building her city, and at the very end she is she's not building it anymore, and she doesn't continue to build, she doesn't continue to power through as a leader, she just gives up. So, not to say that women give up, but there's a sense of society portrays women as weaker, I guess, and that without a man, especially in the Aeneid, it shows that without a man, what is she gonna do? Because she, I guess at the beginning, without her husband, she found who she was, but then now, without Aeneas, because she's found that love again without Aeneas, she doesn't know, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Mr. Underwood has something.
Oh, go ahead.
I feel when you're in love, you become comfortable and you kind of drift away from what your priorities are. So even though she had all these responsibilities building the city, once she saw the child and everything, she became comfortable and she just fell in love with me.
I feel I was kind of thinking that when they were in the woods and she was saying oh, we should be married, this is a marriage to me, I feel women in general always want to know that they're committed to somebody and it's not just an emotional thing. And I also think that she does show feelings of women in general, that she does act on impulse, she does act on feelings, when she killed herself. That wasn't a rational decision, that was based off of what she felt in her feelings. And I feel women are more vulnerable and they tend to kind of delve into those feelings more.
Also, at the beginning of when we first meet Dido, she is stronger, and I think that's because she's independent. And she's like the independent woman who don't need no man.
Mhm.
And but then Aeneas comes in and like I guess men kind of make women go like weak at the knees, for lack of a better word.
It was like
And-
a distraction.
Yeah, a distraction.
I also think like Aeneas like portrays that like I don't say shady man, but he's kind of like because I guess society portrays men as they can't like show emotion. So I think that's also another reason why he's like, oh, I'm gonna leave in the middle of the night. It's a very quote unquote man thing to do.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, so I thought that was like really interesting that like it's not just Dido who is the stereotype of women, but Aeneas is also that stereotype of I'm supposed to be strong. I'm doing things for like my country and my family, but not really thinking about the other person who it's affecting.
Yeah,
You could be using this as like an excuse to leave. Like the God's telling him to
Mhm.
using that excuse to.
yeah, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, he doesn't act on emotion at all. If anything, he acts on more logic and someone told me to do this. And the whole marriage thing, he was the one who was saying, I don't want to be in a marriage. This was just like a thing or whatever.
Mhm.
So I feel that's also again not to be like sexist,
yeah.
but that is also generally a male thing that you don't feel the need to be committed. You can kind of like do what you please and stuff like that.
What I find really interesting is like this was written so long ago, but it's like still relevant to today's society.
I thought like you said something about like men or Aeneas was like thinking about his situation more than Dido, which was kind of interesting to me because I feel like women tend to think more about situations more than men, and men kind of act on like impulse and stuff. So I thought it was like weird how they kind of switched the roles.
Awesome. Okay, we're gonna move on to our next question. Miss Anderson, what do you have for us?
Okay, so I kind of want to talk about her suicide, Dido's suicide, and why she committed it. And part of my question is she going crazy? In book 4 on page 83 in the Rudin, I don't know if I'll have the Rudin. It's around line 450 and then down for the rest of the page. That's when she sees her gifts on incense burning altars rotted. The wine turned to black and filthy gore the second she poured it. Like all of these crazy things are happening, and it's kind of like supernatural. Is she just like imagining these things and like going crazy, or is it actually happening? And is that, I don't know. I feel like she's going crazy, but is that part of why she committed suicide along with Aeneas leaving her? Sorry, that was really long.
I feel like once you're upset, you kind of like view everything as in that day as like upsetting. Even like the smallest things get you kind of riled up.
Yeah, like you think about things more, and you're like, oh my god, my coffee spilled. That's because I'm having a bad day. Like you tend to think like everything bad that's happened to you that day, like is because you did something or something happened to you.
And it's like 20 times worse than it actually is.
Yeah, I don't think like it. I don't know. I don't think that she's going crazy because I think it's just she's looking at it from a negative angle. Like wine already is that dark color, So it's like if she's pouring it, it's gonna look that dark color. If it's like cloudy outside or whatever it is, she's looking at it differently. And then the gifts on the incense burning altars rotted. Like I feel like incense burning would like then burn these gifts or whatever. You know what I mean? So like it's she's just looking at it in a more negative way instead of oh look, it's incense burning, or oh look, the wine is darker, or something like that,
Yeah, I think she has just a negative disposition because she's just like blinded by her rage and her sorrow. And since she's like in a dark place, everything around her just seems naturally just dark in general.
Yeah, I guess like when you're having a bad day, everything else that happens, I don't know the word. Everything else that happens in that day, it's like you take a negative view of it and make it a lot worse.
And even later in the Rudin on page 84, it talks about how there were vengeful demons lurking outside the door, and madness and grief filled her defeated heart, and she chose death. So I don't think she's going crazy. I think she's just looking at everything really negatively, and then she's like, okay, well, if everything's going negative, why don't I just like kill
Give
myself?
up.
Why don't I just give up?
Yeah. So no, I don't think she was hallucinating about any of it. She was just having a bad day. Like Aeneas left her,
So she decided to kill herself.
yeah. I mean, she said she couldn't really take the pain anymore. Like even after her first husband died, like she had like probably like a really rough time doing that. So she knew she couldn't handle it.
I think she was just at her wit's end, and like she had nothing to look forward to. So she thought it would be better off if she were dead than to live like another day being lonely and unhappy and stuff like that. So, Miss Bowie, would you like to tell us about your question?
Okay, my question is, why didn't Dido understand Aeneas' situation where the gods were asking him to do something? Like, why wasn't she more understanding of that? Like, she like totally like killed herself because Aeneas had to leave, and it was, I don't know, it didn't really make sense to me.
Actually, she was just very attached. Like, even at the beginning when Aeneas came and she first saw him, and it was kind of like a love at first sight moment. Like, she, from like the get-go, she was automatically like super invested in that. So if something wrong happened, I felt that just automatically made her super emotionally unstable.
I like also think that I don't know how like different their gods are, but I feel like they would be different because Aeneas brings like his household gods, and like I don't know how like if Dido would think about the gods the same way that he did, because like he like chose to bring his own gods, like his own household gods from Troy, and like maybe she had already established gods or whatever it is, but maybe like we don't hear them worshiping or we don't hear Dido like talking to the gods a lot or like worshiping the gods. You know what I mean? When we hear Aeneas like talks to the gods and listens to the gods, so maybe there's just a sense of like she doesn't believe the same way that he does.
Yeah.
So like that's why maybe she's
not
like
as
just
religious.
she's not as like religious.
This is not really concrete either. Like they're all gods that are in the sky, so you can't really just talk to the person that told you to go.
Yeah.
You just have to believe them.
And also the gods told Aeneas that like, hey, if you do what we say you do, you're gonna have like you're gonna be a hero, you're gonna end in Italy, and you're gonna just be super powerful. And then they didn't say anything to Dido, so there's nothing in it for her. You know, like Aeneas has an incentive to follow the gods because he know what potentially could come of his future, but Dido doesn't. No god is coming in contact with her and telling her to do stuff. You know.
Yeah, so like Dido doesn't really believe. Are we assuming that, or like did he actually?
I don't think I don't know anywhere in here that says that she doesn't. But like when I just have a quote. But like when who's that? Mercury comes to talk to Aeneas and like scolds him. In the reading, this is page 78, around line 270. When it's like, why are you loitering in Libya? What will this loitering in Libya bring you? Like, so it's kind of like, if you're unmoved by all the coming splendor, which is a weight you do not wish to shoulder, think of your hopes of Ilias growing, etc., about like going to Italy and, you know, bringing up Rome. But it's kind of like, I feel like they're like, oh yeah, we, you know, Dido's here, but like we don't really talk to her. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why are you here in Libya? Like, you know, it's just, you're loitering here. It's not like, oh, yeah, Dido is here too. It's like, why are you just here, you know?
Yeah.
So it's, I feel that there's not a connection, the same connection, or like a similar connection with the gods and Dido, you know, that Aeneas has.
Also, going off of that same passage, I think that Mercury is kind of like using the fact that Aeneas has a kid to get him to go, because he says, think of your hopes as Ulysses grows your heir. And so I think when he says that, Aeneas is like, oh wow, I gotta go. So like my kid has a future.
Yeah, I guess because it's like appealing not only to the god speaking, but like to his family.
Mm-hmm.
But like, not to say that Dido is not like religious, because at the beginning we hear that she's creating this tempo to Jove, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's either Jove or Juno. It's to Juno.
Juno.
Yeah. And like, not to say that she's not, because like, why would she be building this? But at the same time, I don't think there's that same like level, that Aeneas is at, and so it's kind of like, I feel it's just, oh, we're building a temple to her, not that she talks to us a lot or whatever, but we're just building one to her just to have protection for the city or whatever it is.
Yeah, just for like respect.
Also, going off of Juno, Juno is like in favor of the Carthage. Yeah. And I think Dido knows that kind of, and I don't know where I'm going with this. Yes, I do, but I don't know how to explain that. Like, so Juno is the one who like put Dido and Aeneas together, and I feel like Dido like maybe like she doesn't know it, but maybe she can sense it. I don't know. So maybe she's just confused. Like the gods did one thing and now they're doing another thing. Like they put us together and now they're separating us. You know?
Why would they put them two of them together if they knew that she was going to end like this? I don't really get it. Maybe they did it intentionally.
I feel like we kind of talked about this in class, but I totally forgot the place. But there's this one like when the gods were like setting them up, one of them was just like kind of smirking, and like I feel like they knew something bad was gonna happen afterwards.
Yeah, I think that was Juno.
Oh, okay.
No,
It's in the beginning.
Yeah, I think it was what's her name?
Venus.
I think Venus was like, don't do it, and Juno was like, no, I'm gonna do it, and so Venus was like, okay, whatever, like.
It's in the Fagles. It's like Fagles.
Yes.
Okay. In Fagles, it's 158, I think.
Is that the page number?
No, that's a line. 132 is the page. Like the first line on that page.
Yeah, it's on like 73 in the reading. At the top, hold on. Well, basically, Juno's like to Venus. She's like, "Hey, you already made her fall in love with Aeneas. You might as well have them get married or something now, or have them be together." Then Venus is like, "Well, I don't really know. We should talk to Jove." And then Juno's like, "No, let's just do it. He doesn't have to know," kind of thing. And then they do it. But I think like, in doing that, both of them kind of had like ulterior motives, like knowing they'll separate.
And I think like there's not a difference. Like I think they don't. There's a miscommunication because later Jove sends Mercury. You know, so it's like not, and it's not Juno. It's not Venus either.
Yeah,
so it's like they don't
didn't
talk.
tell.
Yeah.
It says it in here. I don't know the exact line. It's yeah. Venus is like, ask him and then I'll be with you. Juno answered, leave me to do that. Brief, and then hold on, sorry. I don't know, but it's like Juno's like, you know what? No, let's not tell Jove. Let's just go on and do it. So like they don't tell him. So there is a miscommunication. That's what I'm getting at.
And we're gonna transition to Mr. Underwood's question.
So I wondered why Aeneas chose to leave in the middle of the winter when he knew the conditions of the sea were going to be worse than what it would be if you wait. It would solve more problems too. Why?
Yeah, I think that's like really, I don't know, like it's like not even like a middle of the night kind of like I'm gonna leave because I don't want to deal with her. I don't know. I still think that like Aeneas is so loyal to the gods, and even like every time sometimes we hear Aeneas, it's saying like dutiful Aeneas, like loyal Aeneas, like in book 1, the Ruden line like 378. It's like I am devout Aeneas, and then we hear another one where it's like loyal Aeneas, and all these other things, and I think it's partially like the gods are like, you gotta go. So he's like, well, I don't, it's cold or whatever, but the gods are still like, you gotta go. So he's kind of like, pick up and go, because Mercury is so, he's just so, like, you have to go. He's like, oh, like, why are you dilly-dallying here? Go and, give your son a future. Do you not want your son to have a future? Like, it's very, like, guilt-ridden, in that.
I feel like he's on a string. He's just constantly being pulled every which way by the gods. He doesn't really put his own thought into his actions, really. He just kind of does.
Also, I think he's like kind of like maybe pissed or maybe just upset about his argument with Dido, because when Dido says, it's on 82 in the reading, line 430, she tells Anna to go tell Aeneas that he ought to wait for winds that make it easy. Then on 83 at the top of the page, when Anna tells him, she says no tears could move him, no words found his sympathy. So he's completely ignoring her offer of help to him. So like, I don't know, I feel like he would only do that like if he's like mad or something and he just wants to get out.
Yeah, I don't know if like he actually, I don't know. Every single time we talk about this, like, or not this specific thing, but like Aeneas and Dido, it's like, does he actually love her? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like there's so many points where it's like, oh no, he was like unmoved. And there's so many points where he's like, oh my god, I love you, like I wish I could stay, or, well, he doesn't say I wish I could stay, but,
It was just like, it was against my will to go.
Yeah. And like, when he goes into the underworld, it's like, the gods made me do it, like, and he was like crying tears, and so it's kind of like, I don't know, does he actually love her? Is he putting on a face? Like,
it kind of goes back and forth this entire
yeah,
book.
so.
So I think that also it takes a huge amount of faith to do this, but I also think that even if the gods they told him to go like in an ice storm or a snowstorm, the fact that they like told him you need to go now, I think that's more commanding than anything. So if he were to go in like a harsh storm, he knew the gods were on his side anyway because they told him to do so. Whatever. So I feel like he knew that they were going to be with him, so even though he went through a treacherous time, he still had his faith. Yeah.
So like, I feel like he went in the middle of the winter because he knew like the gods were going to be on his side, like they would have him back and stuff. Like even with Zeus, like Zeus, he helped him out with the fire in the middle of the storm.
I think he can kind of see with Dido, the future with them too is kind of unclear. He didn't know really what that would bring, but his future in Italy or whatever, that was more certain for him because someone, the gods told him, like, this is what will happen if you do X, Y, and Z. But with Dido, no one told him, if you guys get married or have a kid, this will be your life.
Yeah,
so
it's just like, they're here. It's just like, she's here you go, like, whatever happens, happens. And then something happened, and the gods were like, wait, no. And speaking about Dido, like, I thought it was really interesting that she, like, when she was like, okay, I'm going to kill myself on the pyre, have that funeral fire, like, right before, in the Ruden, page 84, line 78, something like that, she goes, Anna, I found a way, congratulate me. And she goes into this whole thing about how, like, she's going to take this, like, thing that is going to make her sleepy and things like that, and so like that's great, like I found a way out, I'm going to kill myself. And that's just so like kind of sort of mixing back the question about is she crazy, I think I don't know now, because like previously it was like, oh no, she's not, like she's just looking at it kind of negatively, but this is kind of like maybe she is going just a little bit insane. Like maybe she was looking at it negatively first, and then like she just starts getting so negative and negative and negative that she's like now just driving herself insane. And she's like, oh yay, like there's an exclamation point too. It's not like a congratulate me. It's like congratulate me, you know. And she's like, oh yeah, there's this thing where the Hesperides temple, and there is strewed sleeping poppy and moist honey that lays a spell on you to soothe your mind. And it's like, okay, yeah, like if I die, I'm like not gonna be here. I'm gonna be like all loopy or whatever it is, and so it's gonna be like it's gonna be great. I'm gonna die. It's gonna be great, you know. So it's a little bit crazy, but I think it's because she's driven so insane with like love.
Yeah.
Because like again, she's so like just wrapping it all like together. She's just so
bunch of emotions all at once.
just so a whole bunch of emotions, and she's just so deeply in love with Aeneas, and Aeneas is so wishy-washy. So again, like going back to another question about like women in society and men in society, it's like I feel like society brings women as so wrapped up in one emotion, or like in a ton of emotions, like they feel it all at once, but so heavily all at once. When guys, like society says like they feel one emotion, and then they go to the next, and then they go to the next, you know?
Or they're just like whatever.
Or they're just whatever.
Yes.
Exactly. So I think like all of it like just culminates together to like all these questions, like yeah, they like make Dido and make Aeneas, like they make those characters real people, you know? Because I know sometimes we read and it's like, oh yeah, that's not a real person. A real person wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's not interesting to me.
Exactly. It like has something else to it.
You can connect to the book more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. I'm glad that we had all our questions answered. And we will see you in class, Mr. Giannikis. Bye.
So long.